This episode of GuildCast is brought to you by Shutterstock.com. For 25% off your new account, head on over to Shutterstock.com and use the offer code Gamebreaker10.
Gamebreaker TV.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to... Oh, Gary's got my back here. Welcome to GuildCast, episode 92 for October 30th, 2013. I am your lovely host, Mike Shaffnett. I wish I had my full outfit, but this is all you're getting for now. Welcome, everyone, to GuildCast. Coming up today, Kessex has gotten a whole lot... There's hair in my mouth and all over the microphone. Kessex has gotten a whole lot darker, PvP reward changes, and all new armor, all that and more. But first, you guys know him from the YouTube's Mr. Bog Otter himself, Mr. Richie Procopio. That's terrifying. I'm not gonna lie, that came out of nowhere, Richie. I wasn't ready for that. You answered the call like you were gonna be an actual, like, normal Richie, and then you both busted out Halloween costumes on me? Like, what is this?
I improvised.
Wow, man.
Oh,
Richie's just gonna play that part. He's
it.
not gonna break character. He's like the guards from England. And joining us as well, you guys know him and love him, right here from GuildCast, Mr. Matt Visual.
Hello.
How's it going?
How you doing?
Dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I'd like to think that I can try and rock this wig for a whole show, but this hair is just everywhere. So I don't think it's gonna work. But this is my kitty cat Katarina costume right here. Oh yeah. Gonna rock that one later. Alright, you know what? Let's take some time. Let's talk about some nightmares and towers, because that's what's up in Guild Wars today. I have just hair all over the place. I'll be pulling it out for days. It just came out yesterday, so have you guys had a chance to jump in and check this new feature out?
Yes.
Yeah. How is it? How is it for the community?
It's pretty good. What they did is they added a lot of towers throughout the pretty much a lot of the maps. I don't know how many maps there are. Well, quite a few maps, pretty much. And there you have to destroy the towers in different ways. Some of them you have to pick up bombs to blow it up. You have to protect the people who are using the turrets and mortars. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. And once you defeat it, you get to pick up all that toxin flower stuff in the middle and give it to
that's the scientific term, right?
And stuff like
flower toxic stuff.
Yes. Very toxic. Go ahead,
Richie, what do you think?
It's AKA pollen. That flower stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pluses and minuses to it. It's you start off. The Kessex Hills has completely been changed. It doesn't look anything like it used to. It's got this huge, gigantic tower coming out of the Leviathan Lake. The whole surrounding area has been poisoned, intoxicated, and when you first go there, you actually enter a little story instance, and you walk through it with Marjorie Delacroix and Lady Casimir, and yeah, that part's pretty fun. You're introduced to the new crate that are, have some new looks to them, some new abilities. The Nightmare Court has joined them, and they introduced the ability PvE downstate. Right, you have to finish them now,
which is great. Yeah, I love that.
Anybody who's spent time like gathering the finishing moves and different things like that can now show it off. I still have a little bunny rabbit, but
I missed my Super Adventure Box finisher. I wanted to buy it, and then I just totally forgot. Boom, and now I never get it again. I never get it again. But it's awesome to see all those finishers in PvE, because it makes sense now, that actually people who use finishers in PvP and stuff like that, or buy these from the gem store, they can now, show it off in PvE now as well, other than World v. World and PvP. I thought it was great. I mean, the story instance, I gotta say, for some reason it reminded me of Guild Wars 1. The feeling of it, it's very open, and the way they do the cutscenes and stuff like that. I was like, man, I'm getting a little Guild Wars 1 feelings, but I really enjoyed it. And I was extremely excited getting out of it, and I was met with like the world just being like devastated, just like how I wanted. I wanted the living story to affect the world, the real world, and I don't want it to go back to the same way. I wanted everything to be destroyed and stay destroyed until like they can rebuild it back. Hopefully they do this more with the living story. The thing that's kind of just like is that you don't get to go on the tower.
Didn't I say that last week? Didn't I have I had a little bit of that? I'm like, you know what? They didn't post on the website that there's a new 5-man dungeon or a new open world dungeon. They didn't like market it all. I'm like, I bet we're not going in the tower right away. And nope, you're not going in.
That was so disappointing. It was so disappointing. I was just like, oh, I just finished everything in 2 seconds. Okay. Yeah, I finished pretty much everything. All my achievements and everything, and I was just like, oh, like, well, why can I go in the tower now? But also you can unlock the skill point. You don't have to like collect a bunch of pollen from these events. You can just use your skill points to unlock the new healing skill which takes away poison, torment, the toxin, and one other thing that I'm missing? No, just those 3. I think I'm missing one more, but it takes away those from you and your party. So hopefully, I'm guessing they're getting people ready for the next update, which is when the tower comes out, and then we can actually use that in the dungeon. Coordinate with your fellow allies and stuff like that in the party.
So this time around, what are we fighting here? What's the overall story? Because you guys speculated last week about it was going to kind of be the Nightmare Court that was involved here, but it actually wasn't this time?
No, it is. Nightmare Court is involved, so basically what's happening is they figured out that there was something going on in Viathan Lake and Kessex Hills. There was this huge invisible barrier shrouded in mesmer magic, and Lady Casimir is able to break this shield down. She does it in a little story entrance, like she shows you what happened. They broke through this illusion, this veil. And now suddenly you realize that the Crate and the Nightmare Court have been building this huge monstrosity of a tower with this huge, like, poisonous kind of pollen-type flower thing on top. And it's literally spraying these toxic spores all over the zone and the adjacent zones. And it's causing all of the, it's causing hallucinations, madness. The Crate are getting very aggressive. And it seems like the Crate... because of these obelisk shards that have been found, and part of what you have to do is go around the world and collect these things. Yeah, it looks like it's heralding in one of their prophets, right? They believe that their prophets are going to come back at some point. It's probably some really bad thing for everybody else, but they're very excited about it. And so we now uncovered this huge tower that they've built, and we're trying to, I guess, be able to survive the toxicity levels, because right now if you go near the tower, you melt with this new toxin debuff. And like Matt was saying, you unlock this skill to kind of remove toxins and stuff, but you still can't remove it enough to get into the tower. So you're helping the people around the area try to learn more about what's going on, learn more about the toxins, and hopefully find a way to kind of battle it so that we can actually get into the tower. So we're thinking that maybe next patch or 2 we'll actually see this story arc progress.
I would have loved to see something like you could get into the tower early if you figured out a way to get inside, or something like that. And people would just sit there. Everyone was just crowded around the tower, just like, I wonder how to get in there. Like, there was something for people who have watched Sword Art Online. Like, there's this tower in the anime where it was impossible to fly high enough to get inside of the tower, and you have to battle all these creatures inside as well. I would have that would be crazy. Like, it's like, oh, everyone's thinking like, oh, can we get in the tower? Can we get inside the tower? No one knows. And then all of a sudden, some guy gets in, and then it spreads around and stuff like that. That would be pretty cool to see.
I mean, I kind of like it. I like that. I like that premise, because there was a game that I played previously where they had something that was called the Paradox Tower, where no one knew the system of events that you had to go to get attuned. It wasn't in your face. But essentially, if you weren't attuned to the quest chain, you had to answer kind of a series of questions, and if you didn't answer correctly, then it kicked you out and kicked you into like this hell version that you had to fight your way out of. And it was just always funny because it was this big kind of conspiracy, kind of like you're saying, like everybody was like, well, how do you get in? Because the question that usually kicked everyone to hell was, what is the meaning of life? And everyone was trying to like theorize of like the right answer versus the wrong answer. And, you know, obviously if you answered wrong, you had to go fight your way out of it. So it kind of added this whole new like fun exercise of like, what's the answer? And then finally, as you said, it started to spread around. People started to learn the answer of how to get attuned, and just kind of made for a nice, interesting, fun experience.
Yeah. And ArenaNet's not beyond doing stuff like that. I just saw a video the other day, if somebody posted on Reddit, that they're doing the Mad King's Labyrinth, right, where everybody's kind of hanging out these days doing their farming and stuff like that. And actually, no, it's during the Lunatic Inquisition little PvP match game. And so, you know, in that is if you're a survivor, you can pick up all kinds of random objects like a torch or a hammer or something like that. But this guy figured out if you pick up a hammer and you run to this certain little spot where I guess the Mad King's face appears on the wall, you hit the hammer on that wall, and he'll drop a boulder. Then you pick up the boulder, and there's one specific pumpkin that's hanging up in the air. And if you aim the boulder and hit the pumpkin, then it drops a pumpkin that you can actually pick up. And you take the pumpkin all the way back to the start where the Mad King is. And by the way, you're dodging all the other players who are now ghost trying to kill you while you do this. If you get the pumpkin to the Mad King, he actually gives you like a shotgun. And then you can run through the Inquisition with a shotgun.
Wow.
Wow.
So like, I don't know how this guy figured it out, but I love stuff like that. So ArenaNet definitely could have some more secrets like that.
What about any signs from Scarlet? Because we know that she's kind of always been involved with the Nightmare Court. Has she popped up at all this time around?
Kind of. There's a bunch of NPCs that you can talk to around the camp by the tower, and one of them actually kind of mentions. Well, they talk about the Nightmare Court a little bit when she was involved with the Nightmare Court, and they said that they think that this Nightmare Court is just an offshoot faction of it. So that could actually, be Scarlet's sect of the Nightmare Court. But one of them actually mentions, I wonder if Scarlet's involved in this. So the NPCs are definitely talking about it. And if you look at the teaser picture on the GuildWars2.com website for the next release, which we'll get more information about next Tuesday, it actually looks like a picture of Scarlet and what people are theorizing are Marganites, which is from Guild Wars 1. These are like the demonic, the demons of Abaddon. I don't know if it's actually confirmed or people are, some people mentioned the similarities between the creature behind her and the Marganites, which is pretty interesting. So I do think that Scarlet is involved with this. We've seen the Molten Alliance, which was the Dread and the Flame Legion. Then we saw the Aether Blades, which was the Inquest and the Sky Pirates. And now we're seeing another alliance. This is called the Toxic Alliance. Got to stop using the word alliance, but Toxic Alliance between the Crate and the Nightmare Court. And I think Scarlet's behind everything. She's everything.
Yeah. I mean, she's the one controlling the invasions and all this type of stuff. I'm pretty sure it's Scarlet.
What about this new condition? Has that been introduced yet?
Yes. In the tower. Once, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do you guys think that it's something that's needed?
I wouldn't say needed. I can't really speak on balancing and the need for more conditions. Right. I know right now conditions are still inferior to like Berserker builds and stuff like that. I guess only in certain parts of the builds or certain classes. But I don't know, like adding another condition, it could be useful for like people like thieves that need another condition, or to make condition thief a little bit more viable. I can see that happening. I don't know if is it permanent yet? Permanent?
Well, they haven't given that condition to any players yet, right? It's just something that can affect you when you get near the tower. And then they gave you a new heal skill, like we talked about earlier, that can actually remove it. So I think it's kind of, there's two things I think they're doing here. One is they're kind of introducing the story and saying they have this really powerful toxin. You can't get near this tower unless you have some way to penetrate it. And so they're giving players, and they're also experimenting with the players actually getting a new skill for once, which there hasn't been. Has there been any of that since the game launched? Any new skills? So this is the first time all players can unlock this brand new heal skill. And by the way, a little public service announcement. a lot of people, know that you can, like Matt said, you can actually farm up like 250 of those spores and pay 5 gold on the vendor to actually get the skill. Or you can just spend 25 skill points just by logging in and hitting H and going into your skill page. I thought that was a little anticlimactic. That, like, wait a minute, I could just get this. Like, I have 500 skill points. I could just get this right now for no reason. So yeah,
the healing amount is very low anyway.
It
so
is.
It's not even worth it to use unless you need that to remove the toxin.
Yeah, I think if you have a party of 5 people and you all have it, and this new tower, when we get in there, it has a lot of the toxin, then it might be powerful if everybody's using it as an AoE, because it affects everybody. But yeah, on its own, it doesn't seem very powerful compared to some of the other heals.
Now, what do you guys think about the Wizard's Tower? Because that was something that's kind of shown up now here. How do you think that this is going to connect?
Is it going to connect? I don't think so.
Could it connect?
No.
I know you talked, or Gary talked last week, that he wants it to connect. You've got one floating Wizard's Tower, and now you've got this huge like obelisk of doom on the other side of the same map, and it's like 2 things in the sky. It'd be really cool for them to be related somehow, but I think the Wizard's Tower is a separate secret that is not going to be unveiled and mixed in with this story arc.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be its own living story thing that's going to be going on, or part of an expansion or something. I don't know. Like, it seems like so much there. I mean, I can't imagine the day that they unlock that. Like, there's no way they're going to do it right now, like, with this story at the same time. No, that thing, it needs to be devoted some time and development. I mean, the Wizard's Tower, I mean, that, so much they can do. So much they can do with that.
Somebody in chat said Guild Wars 2, the 2 towers.
Oh God. So let's take a look and focus here now on Kessex Hills, because things are just absolutely going to hell over there, because content designer Jeremy Vaughn had this to say on the forums. He came out and said, without giving anything away, I will say that the Kessex Hills you will see in November and December and next year is not the same as the one you had last week. I mean, this kind of implies some pretty dramatic and continual growth for permanent changes to the zone.
It's already unrecognizable. I mean, even when you bring up, you just hit M and look at your world map, the zone looks completely different. Like, just from a high up, it's a different color. Like, it doesn't match any of the surrounding areas that are all like grassy, and it's got this huge purple blot in the middle of it where this tower is. And yeah, it's exciting to see that, it's going to keep changing. And it's probably not going to go back to the way it was. A lot of the patches that we've seen had content come in and content leave and left the world unchanged. But like Matt was saying earlier, it's exciting to actually see, hey, you know what? Okay, yeah, this world feels a little changed, and you kind of have that mixed emotion. A little bit, you're just like, oh, I kind of miss, how it looked before a little bit, but you're also excited for how, where it's going to go with the story. There's another Reddit thread. Somebody posted that they love the fact that as a level 10 or 15 or whatever level 20 character, they actually went through the zone and leveled their character here, and now they get to come back as a level 80 and mess with the crate who actually destroyed the zone that they remember so fondly. So it's kind of cool to actually see things change like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I mean, when you consider the fact it's not like the gas is going to stop pouring out of the tower, and it's ultimately going to continue, and you want to see the effects of it, it's going to take a long time for us to get that gas under control. At least that's the way that he made it sound like.
Yeah, I want it to be just like how they do the statue. But how the lion statue was brought down in Lion's Arch. It took them a while to build it back up. It just wasn't like, oh, the patch is here, oh, the statue's here again. Is there in Magic? No, that didn't happen. So I definitely want that to if Kessex Hills ever goes back, right? If we destroy the tower and there's no more poison and stuff like that, it'll eventually go back to the way it was, but it's still different in a way. I would even like to see more shops and stuff open. Like, if the living world can bring like shops to Lion's Arch, or shops to, or mini games to Divinity's Reach, so people can go into other towns. Like, I would like to see the living world do that. I'm pretty sure there's a person in Lion's Arch that has a shop that has been in construction forever, and they just haven't finished it yet. I would love to see like extra shops and stuff. I don't know what they will be about. Mounts, I don't know. But yeah, it would be pretty cool. It would be pretty cool to actually see a living story as well.
Do you guys think that all this is gonna like the progress to kind of making the area evolve will have to do with Tower of Nightmare? And I'm just gonna say the Wizard's Tower. I know you guys don't like to think that it's gonna relate, but the Wizard's Tower doing stuff there, and eventually maybe even directly correlating to try and clean up the zone. Or is there other ways that we're going to ultimately affect this?
Yeah, I imagine that we're going to, over the next few patches, see things really get bad, and the crate are going to maybe even summon the prophet in. Maybe we get another big world boss, or maybe it's a jumping puzzle in the tower or some sort of open world dungeon. But eventually, we're going to fight it back and kind of get some more control over Kessex Hills. At least that's my theory. But I think the tower is so massive. I can't think of a taller structure in the game that even if we topple it or destroy it or whatever, it should still permanently change Kessex Hills, right? Even if it topples out of the lake, it should still be out of the lake and onto the land and just be ruins there for a long time. And I think that would be really cool. That even though the immediate threat is gone, you still have the remnants there. To every time you walk past, oh, you remember when we took out that tower? That would be cool. I think something like that would be awesome.
Let's move on to some of the rest of the patch notes. But before we do, I want to tell you guys about a sponsor that we have here at Gamebreaker that helps make all of these shows possible and is honestly one of the best tools you can have if you work in the creative industry. Shutterstock.com is a great service that acts as a Swiss Army knife for any video content creators out there. If you have a YouTube channel, a website, a guild page, anything at all, I guarantee you that you can find something to add to your project or kind of create a little bit of spice to whatever the creative thing that you're doing if you use anything available in Shutterstock.com. It's a great service. We use it all of the time, daily here even at Gamebreaker for various shows as well as up-and-coming projects. A lot of you out there are maybe excited about the Gamebreaker Nation that we're trying to start here. And here is a lightbox. It's a bunch of different stuff that you can save, a bunch of icons that you can find on Shutterstock.com. But here are a whole bunch of different icons that we were kind of looking at to maybe find which one would have been great to use for the Gamebreaker Nation. Fist up in the air, everybody is excited for it, or maybe a really kind of cool spectral dragon. Ultimately, as I've said before, we went and ended up going with this little sleeker dragon from this pack of 6 right here. But like I said, we use Shutterstock.com. It's a great thing. The creative industry uses it more than you think, and I encourage you guys to open your eyes because it's all over the place. I was watching Dexter a couple months back, and I ended up seeing Shutterstock assets used on Dexter. So I promise you, if you open up your eyes, you'll find it everywhere. But if you guys are interested in using Shutterstock, head on over to Shutterstock.com. And before you guys check out, make sure to use the offer code GameBreaker10 because you'll receive 25% off of your new account. So head on over today, Shutterstock.com, offer code GameBreaker10. Let's move on because there are other patch notes that we need to get to. The big one here, though, has to be how PvP glory and rank rewards are actually going to be handed out. So, Richie, what are the changes that are coming?
They have changed. Basically, before you could actually do a PvP match, and there was winning and losing, right? You had team points, and first team to 500 would win the match. There were also individual points that you would get for doing certain objectives, and the glory that the PvP currency that you got as a reward was tied to your personal rewards, which kind of fostered different things. Like there are certain builds that would be would be better at getting personal rewards and would be easier to farm glory with. And there was also the tendency to not care, especially in hot join, to not care if you won or lost as long as you had great personal rewards, because they were just glory farm, and people would just sometimes they would coordinate and just trade back and forth, and basically be silly. So the changes are going to be there's no more personal rewards, and there's going to be a flat glory reward based on whether you win or you lose the match. In addition, there are diminishing rewards if the match is too short. So again, it's an anti-exploit mechanism there. So it has to be a certain length to get the maximum rewards, and then there's going to be a set amount that you get for winning the match and a set amount for losing the match.
Matt, has the community kind of latched on to this idea? Are they behind it or are they against it?
I have no idea. I haven't got a chance to jump into PvP to see what people are saying. But I mean, it seems pretty cool. I have to test it out myself though to really see what's going on with that.
I checked out a few of the forum threads, and it definitely seems like there's obviously people for it and against it. There does seem to be a fair amount of people that are for it, because like I said, especially in Hot Join, they're not caring about winning as much as their own personal rewards, and so this, hey, guess what? Now you have to care about the match, and if you win, you get more glory. The one thing that they're going to have to keep tabs on is AFKers, right? And I know they have mechanisms in place to combat that, but if the only rewards you're going to get are based on whether you win or lose, a flat thing at the end, then hopefully we don't see a rash of AFKers as a result of that. But I believe what you're going to get into in a minute kind of sheds some more light onto why they're doing this, and I think that actually makes it even more positive.
So PvP team coordinator John Corpening kind of laid out the reasoning behind some of these changes, and he goes on to say that there are several reasons for these changes. The biggest reasons is to lay the groundwork for new game types and map mechanics. By normalizing rewards, we can be much more flexible with map layouts, game types, and mechanics. Game modes will need to reward players equally without directing players to one mode or another based on perceived differences in rewards or encouraging players to play a specific way in order to maximize rewards. I mean, that's the fear, I think, of any implementation of reward features like that. You want to make sure that that people don't feel obligated to go about it a specific way.
Yeah, I mean, people have been asking for new game modes, and we've talked about this on the show before. People want to do capture the flag or something different than just conquest points. I guess they felt that with the personal reward system in place, that it wouldn't allow them to introduce a new game mode. Because what if they introduced like 3 new game modes and capture the flag was hands down the best way to get glory because of how the personal rewards work? Well, then everybody would only want to do capture the flag. So they're going to make it flat rewards based on winner or losses, and it really doesn't matter what game mode you're playing. If you win, it's worth this much. If you lose, it's worth this much, and then they'll have the time limit diminishing returns in there. So it does make sense, and if people do have some problems about the fact that it's a little bit harder to get glory now, then maybe they can take some positive thing away and actually look forward to getting a new game type sometime soon.
He goes on to talk about just another change here, and says that the other big change, the second big reason for this change, is that we have seen that certain builds are much more effective at scoring points than other builds. For example, we see that typical bunker builds score lower than all other types of builds because they serve a vital role of point defense. All members of a team should share in the rewards equally. Again, this lays the foundation for new game modes. We don't want to limit ideas for new modes because it creates one role that is potentially more or less lucrative than another role. Again, I mean, I think this is just kind of across the board. It's making sense. You don't want to punish people who aren't playing the specs that are easy to get score with.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just going to be like, if you're going to have like an engineer build that's really good of setting it on a point and defending that, right? But you get rewarded less, well, why would anybody do that?
Well, I mean, especially...
we don't really kill anybody. The bunkers their job is to, keep the point as long as they can and even die on that point, Don't even go on the point to kill someone unless there's no one there trying to take the point away from him. The job is you get no points other than capturing and holding.
You're just built there to be support or tanky, and it's not really, a lot of people don't like playing that type of role. So it's really just kind of the role that exists as a control.
And as they add different modes, hopefully roles like that, will change. Because I wouldn't like to see that. How League of Legends, you have your bot lane with your AD carry and your support, if you're lucky. You get your mid lane, and then you got your top lane, and you got your jungle. And like that's set. I would like in Guild Wars 2 not for it to be that way, and actually see some other builds, away from, different, not bunking maybe at all. Well, I guess if they had captured a flag, it would be good for like the bunker will, to actually hold the flag because he can take more damage and stuff like that. I would like to see stuff like that, use it in a different way other than just standing there sitting on a point, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get into that, into bunking, because sometimes you got to realize, like, okay, do I stay here? And, while no one's here, as soon as you leave, a thief comes in with Infiltrator's arrow and just gets onto the point and just uncaps it. There's so many, So, yeah, I'd like to see some different builds get in there, except for, like, your bunker, rover, and damage dealer. Even though Guild Wars 2's roles are kind of mixy. So,
Other than that, though, were there any really worthwhile changes coming to any specific classes that you guys want to talk about?
The classes changes were mostly just tooltip updates, but I do have one thing, a public service announcement in case you don't know. Starting today through 9 a.m. on Friday, November 1st, I think it's 9 a.m. Pacific time, Mad King is now in Lion's Arch, and he periodically plays a round of Mad King says near the fountains. And what you do is you play the game. It's like Simon Says. If he says Mad King Says, you do the emote. I saw so many people just trying to type things and say, or in the chat channels, and it doesn't work like that. And if you play a round of it, he'll give you rewards, and you can actually get the Mask of the Night, which is, just basically a helm piece and stuff like that. But you can get it only, during these next few days. So make sure you log in tonight or tomorrow and get yourself your mask.
Can we just call this episode Richie's public service announcement? That's two. That's
Did I do
public
two?
Service. That's your second one
Sorry.
already. No, it's fine.
I have another
Three?
one.
Three. Oh, here we go.
Third.
Three.
Don't eat yellow snow.
That is a very, very important public service announcement, if you guys did not know that. Let's move on.
I ate yellow snow the other day.
Oh, yeah? Was it lemon?
Oh, it was lemon.
It was lemon.
I would hope. Oh. All right, let's move on real quick. But before we do, I want to inform you guys about a great service, Netflix.com. If you guys have not heard about Netflix, I don't know where you've been living these past few years, but if you haven't tried Netflix, I'm telling you, now is the best time to try, because they have so many great shows. If you guys have it, they've got great I love stand-up comedians. I really do. Louis C.K. is one of my all-time favorite. But if you guys haven't seen Aziz Ansari and you guys have Netflix, you need to go check out his Dangerously Delicious special. It's just hilarious. I love Netflix for just watching some of the stand-up. They've got a bunch of Daniel Tosh stuff on here. Scrolling down, they've got full series of stuff like New Girl and 30 Rock, Arrested Development. And that's great for when you don't want to deal with commercials or waiting a week to watch the next show. So many people nowadays, we're an on-demand society. No one wants to sit around and wait a week or 6 months for the season to come back. And that's why a lot of people just wait around for Netflix and just watch it all and binge watch on shows like 30 Rock right away without any care of the world. So if you guys haven't tried Netflix and you want to check out some of these shows, we've got a great deal for you by heading on over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV. You can get started with a free 30-day trial and check out some of these amazing shows. So please, guys, if you haven't checked it out, support Netflix. You help support Gamebreaker so you can feel good for doing it. But head on over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV. Real quick before we go, there's a couple more things that we want to go over here. First of which being new armor skins in the gem store. So I think a lot of people, myself included, can be happy we're not looking at town clothes here. We're getting some real armor this time around.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I think this is only the second time, right? Well, they have the ones that were there at launch, and then they put the Aether Blade ones in, and this is the second time since launch that they've done it. These skins are actually pretty cool. I actually like the medium and heavy quite a bit. I really wish that you could buy them, because they're like $10, right? They're 800 gems. I wish you could buy them and just have them unlocked on your account forever to use on your characters as you will. I mean, that would be because I don't buy these things. Like, I think they look cool, but I don't buy them because I don't want just one copy of them and then they're like, oh, okay, which character do I want these on? And I just want it unlocked for my account, like the achievement skins. If they did that, I would spend a lot more money. I really would.
Yeah, I would love the achievement skin way, like the wardrobe. It's what we've been asking for a very long time. You know, because you could just take it and slap it on there. Keep slapping it on there, and you'll always have the skin.
You know, is that important with a model like this? You know, Matt, you brought up League of Legends, and I think that a lot of people look at League as a very successful free-to-play model, and it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see how we're seeing these other models adapt to the free-to-play market. But with a game like League, if you buy a skin, you get the skin. Like, you get to play that. You can use it whenever, however, on everything that you want. And kind of, it sounds like your guys' concerns here with you know, the Guild Wars model is there's a lot of decision to it. You're paying $10 for these armor models, and you don't really get as much freedom as you possibly want. So is that something that you guys think needs to change to make you want to invest more into some of this stuff that Guild Wars 2 offers?
Well, see, like, if they do change stuff like this, like the problem is getting the armor, and then you're like, okay, do I put it on my warrior or my guardian for my heavy armor? I don't know. And then once you pick one, you're like, oh man, now I play my. Once you pick the warrior, you're like, oh, I mean, now I want to play my guardian now, but I want to use that armor. It's like, and you get disappointed. And then there's the thing where you buy unlimited picks and tools and sickles and all that type of stuff, and then it's on that character. And, you know, when you go on your ults, it's just like, I don't have all my unlimited stuff, none of my legendary, none of my armor, nothing. It's an alt thing, and if they do change it, they'll be losing money. So I don't see why they would change it. Maybe some things they would change, but not all of them, you know?
I actually put out a video a few weeks ago on this topic because I think it's essential for this game. This game is all about skins and collecting different types of, you know, looking cool, basically. There's no real hard gear progression in the game. It's all about collecting the different skins for the events. But we've talked about the show over and over again. You get a back skin almost every patch, and, you know, I have like 9 back skins in my bank, and I don't use them because, you know, I can't swap them all on my character. And Matt, yeah, I agree that, you know, people with a lot of alts have this kind of issue with how do they distribute these things. But even for me, who mainly plays one character, like, I'm not going to buy this skin because I have a set of armor that I like right now. I actually have 2 sets of armor. They're exotic sets of armor that I really like, and I can swap between them. But if I wanted to buy this, I would need to go out and buy a 3rd set of all exotics and then skin it on, and then have all of these pieces in my inventory or in my bank. And it's just very encumbering, and it doesn't really work. And they can still monetize this if they actually put it in a way where the wardrobe system is in place, where in order to withdraw something that you've stored in your wardrobe, you have to use a transmutation stone. So they could still do it if they really wanted to. Or
you know, people would just buy more skins because they can keep it and actually have it. Because, you know, I haven't changed any of my skins. I've been wanting to change my backpack, all this type of stuff, but I can't because of the stupid transmutation stone system. It sucks balls, man. It's just like, I want the wardrobe thing. But you know, it's one of those things. It's one of those things, and I would like to see the system kind of like, because you were saying that you know, you would have to get another armor, right? And instead of having the skin like all the time and just keep deleting the skin over and over again, what they can do is make you pick. I think I've seen this done in DC Universe. Universe, you can click it, and then you can just pick all the shoulder pieces you have. If you can click your chest piece, all the chest piece you have, and you can just swap between them at any time. It's a great system. It's a great system if they find a way to monetize it right and without them losing money and stuff like that. I would like to see that done, and it would just add so much to the game. And I would actually buy some of these armor sets. I would definitely, and weapons as well, and maybe some Black Lion keys that I never ever buy, never buy. Yeah.
So Matt, you talked a little bit about alts, and that's also something that's kind of getting addressed here. Is world versus world coordinator actually confirmed on the forums that they're going to be working on ways to make World vs. World a little bit more alt friendly. So what are the issues that players are facing right now?
Sorry, we just stopped there.
What are I'm sorry, I should have thrown it to one of you guys. What are the issues that players are facing right now that they're kind of looking to address?
Oh, in World v World. Well,
yeah.
Right now, of course, I think we talked about this last time, but skill lag is a problem. The queuing is a problem, but they're trying to fix that with the Edge of the Mist. Of course, that has issues with people going in and it's not counting to World v World. There's a few issues with the team matchups. That someone was saying that the Jade Quarry has a lot of low end tier 1 or tier 2 teams.
But how is this affecting alts?
Yeah, the alt.
Oh, you're talking about alts. Oh, you're talking about alts. Yeah. Okay. I didn't hear that when you repeated the question. I didn't hear the alt part. Okay. I guess for alts, you have something to say, Richie? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the problem with the alts is fairly straightforward. It's like it's a great way to level up your character, right? Because you get brought up to level 80, and you can kind of run around and get a lot of experience, especially if you're in one of those big Zergs or whatever. But you rank up. The ranking up in World vs. World, the World EXP, and the ranks and those rank points that you get are all character bound. So I know I have somebody in my guild who loves World vs. World. He's like I'm going to misquote what level he is. But he's something like he's well over 100 and something rank on his main character, and he's like ranked like 70 or 80 on an alt. And it would be great if he can combine all of that experience into an account bound World EXP. So that no matter what character you're bringing in there, you're actually leveling up your World versus World rank.
I actually asked Colin Johansson this. Yeah. I was like, this is one of my questions, because I was like, I leveled up a couple alts back at launch, right? And then I made my Guardian like this year, at the beginning of this year, and he was reset to 0. He doesn't have any World v World. Do you consider World v World, level to be account bound? Would you ever do that? And it seemed like it was a no, pretty much. It was a hard no, because they wanted people to feel progression, and they, for each character that they put in, they want to still feel that level when you're leveling up a character. But the thing is it's like it's so discouraging once you, like, for instance, a new class comes out and you really, really like it and it just becomes your main, and it becomes an issue. It's like, oh man, I'm not a legendary anymore or whatever. I'm not level 100 anymore. I have to start from the beginning. I don't know if that's necessarily a good feeling, to just start from 0. From 0. I would have definitely loved it to be combined, but I don't know if they will be going in that direction for World v World, sadly.
Yeah, I don't know the exact quote that you're referencing, Mike, with that, but they did say that they were working on some things to make World versus World a little bit more alt-friendly, and hopefully one day they can figure out a solution, because I agree with Matt, like, especially if they add new classes or new races and you re-roll or something. I mean, I did that in World of Warcraft. I played since launch, and then when Wrath of the Lich King came out, I switched to a Death Knight, and at that time, the achievements were character-bound, and it was just so painful, just years and years of that. Just, it was so terrible. And back down to 0. So, yeah, I definitely feel like this would be a right thing to do.
I think Guild Wars 2 would benefit a lot for being an alt-friendly game. Like, not a lot of MMOs are alt-friendly, and that's just the nature of MMO, right? You just gotta suck it up. That's why mostly people play mains, and that's how they just sit into there. But if Guild Wars 2 makes the skins account bound and World account bound, or some things like a lot of things account bound that are very, like, it doesn't hurt too much when you go into another alt, it will feel great.
Yeah, it's already pretty friendly towards alt. They have the framework there.
Definitely.
Like I said, the whole achievement system is across the board. A lot of these events, you get scaled up to level 80, so even if you're playing on a lobby, you can participate. The whole account wallet, right? Your gold, your karma, everything is now shared across your entire account. So they have the framework there for making it very alt friendly, but they just need a couple other steps to complete the trifecta. And trifecta, if it's 3 things, but it's probably more than 3 things, so it's trifecta, it doesn't really work. I'll shut up now.
And finally, the last thing was actually Colin Johansson actually confirmed that we'll be able to acquire the new heal skill forever, and it's going to be easier to earn during this patch as opposed to later, but you'll still be able to come back and earn it. And I think that, honestly, if you're going to have skills like that in the game that are obtainable now, you can't take them away indefinitely, because then what do you do when it becomes a necessity for balance purposes and you just missed the boat? Not necessarily because, or for many reasons, you just weren't playing at that point, you hadn't started playing the game to begin with, or you just didn't get around to doing the events. Like, I think it's necessary.
Yeah, if you miss out on a weapon skin or an achievement or a title, all right, well, you missed out. Or a back piece. Oh, well, you miss out. You know, there's got to be something for players that have played since the beginning to say, "Ha, look what I got." But yeah, a skill? No, I don't see how they could take skills away from people who just started the game. That would kind of feel icky.
Richie Procopio, you can follow him right down there at Richie Procopio. There's the music. Be sure to catch him over on his YouTube channel, Bogotter, as well as he has a show on Zam's Network. I believe that's Zam Network, right? Zam Official
YouTube channel.
Be sure to go check out those two shows as well as everything he puts up on Bogotter's YouTube. Matt Visual, you can follow him right down there at Matt_Visual. Be sure to catch him each and every week right here on GuildCast. Matt, you got anything else coming up this week?
Oh, I got a big Halloween special video coming out tomorrow. So, my subscribers, look out for that. It's going to be really funny.
Is that youtube.com/MattVisual?
Yes, it is.
Be sure to go check that out, guys. And you can follow me right down here at Mike Schaffnit. Thank you guys so much for watching GuildCast. Each and every week, we like to bring you guys all of the most up-to-date Guild Wars 2 news. So if you guys haven't tried watching the show live, hey, come hang out with us. The show goes live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. PDT. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Gary will be back. Hopefully. Now that I've said that, he won't.